And you can put the video up. I don't know if you have it up.
On what?
The lion video can be on our main screen.
You, well, do you want to do the intros first, and then or do you like the quick intro, and then we'll jump into the live video?
We can do that.
All right. All right. Oh, Justin, AD is expected to play.
That changes up a lot.
I don't think it does.
Well, I don't know how much he will play, but
all right. Are you ready?
I'm almost done. All right, we next. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get it. So what's up, everyone? This is very first episode of WGN. We got next podcast with myself, Christian Hayes, and my co-host, Steven Springer. The big premise of this whole podcast is definitely to help bridge the gap between cryptocurrency and other financial aspects, but then also the sports world. You'll start to notice throughout each podcast that we definitely will do a good job of educating everyone on the different ways that the two can be bridged together. And each time we're always going to start off with a fast break. So what's our fast break today, Steven?
All right. I'm going to set the stage for this one. It's a Safari video that you sent me earlier in this week. Like, I just don't get why people go on safaris like this. Like, if I'm going to go on a safari, I want to be in a very, very enclosed vehicle. Like, I love animals, everything, but not like wild animals like this. So let's check this one out real quick. Share the screen. Check this out. Okay, so there's a bus, as you can see, and I don't know where these people are. I don't know if it's like a real African safari, if they're in like Disney World.
Before you even start, you can even just look, and it doesn't look like it's set up for a good ending.
This looks like a golf cart. I mean, and all these people got their cameras on, and you're going to see from the top of the screen here, this lion just coming in out of nowhere, and I'll just play it. I mean,
definition of a fast break.
Okay. Like, just look.
I'm done right there.
I want no part of this whatsoever. Like, it's a lion, right? And again, it's a wild animal. It's a, I don't know how much lions weigh. That lion looks like it probably weighs 300 or 400 pounds. It's a 400-pound killing machine, right? I mean, that's what they do. So this lion just jumps up into this van thing, this golf cart, and look at him. It's like, I don't know if that's a male or a female lion. It looks like a female.
Yeah, that's a female.
Like,
all in the vehicle.
Yeah. Like, no, it's just, there's no part of that I would want. I don't want to be there for that at all. Like, that lion, if someone's taking a video or a picture, which I'm sure everybody was, that wasn't getting, licked on.
Happy to see it.
Like, if that lion hears the flash, or just the shutter of the camera, it can flick a switch and rip your head off.
And there's literally, I've seen that probably like 3 or 4 times so far. And there's nothing you can do. Literally, when you see it coming, you're like, damn, all right, well, that's it. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it could be charging you to do what it was doing and say what's up and give you some
You're
licks.
Not expecting it to want a pet or anything like that. No. For it to come on and just be happy and go lucky. You're not pushing it away.
No, you're not pushing it away like that woman pushed that grizzly bear off the top of that fence.
And then ran.
Like, it was, what, 3 or 4 dogs? I'm sure a lot of people saw that video. But no, there's like anything that, like I said, I love animals, love going to the zoo, love seeing those wild animals that you can't see anywhere else, obviously. But like, I don't want them to come up to me. Cats and dogs, that's cool. But, in Maryland here, we got the cicadas going on. I'm sure,
Yep,
obviously,
I know.
you're from you know all about that. Those things are terrifying. They're luckily they're once every 17 years,
Mhm.
so we don't have to worry about that. Just now, I have no reservations for going on a safari with an open door policy.
Yeah. And if anyone, Steven just brought up the grizzly bear video, you could probably go on my Twitter channel. You can see it right there, the Twitter handle, and then just check it out. Literally both of them. Cause I'm thinking there's no way one, she puts a grizzly bear and then said, I'm gone. Then you have the lion and you're over here like you have humans with nature, but you're in their habitat. The grizzly bear, you took away all of their forestation. So they're basically going to be everywhere trying to protect their cubs. Then you push the grizzly bear into the neighbor's yard. So it's kind of like me pushing the grizzly bear into Steven's yard.
Yeah.
Then it's his problem right there.
Dude, that woman like just pushed. It looks like she just got out of the shower, heard the dogs barking, and then went outside and saw a grizzly bear, which again, those things weigh more than that lion does. And she goes over and pushes it like she's Aaron Donald pushing over a center. Like it was no problem. I give that woman all the credit in the world. But yeah, I don't want to. Safaris are cool. It sounds awesome, but like not with an open door policy.
Yeah. So one thing you did bring up that I heard, you said, give that woman credit. Big thing is I give you a lot of credit for one, helping us with this channel. So who is Steven Springer? And just tell us a little bit about yourself so the people know.
Wow. I'm originally from State College, Pennsylvania, which is where Penn State is located at. You've been there with me a handful of times.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that like the town where Penn State is called something other than Penn State or Happy Valley, whatever. So there's a town there. It's like 50,000 people outside of the bubble that is Penn State. Lived there pretty much my entire life until I moved down to Maryland here with my now wife. We have 2 kids. Live between Baltimore and DC. Big sports guy. Dad's side of the family is all from Pittsburgh. So big Pittsburgh fan. Detroit Pistons longtime fan. Sufferer now. Penn State football is pretty much, you know me long enough to know Penn State football is kind of what I do. Love to just talk sports. I'm learning more about the crypto world thanks to you. So I appreciate that. Speaking of that, that's kind of where you come in. You're the brains of the crypto side of this thing. Now we both understand sports. We both love talking about sports. It's kind of what we talk about on a day-to-day basis. But Christian Hayes has another side of him with the crypto world. But for our listeners who don't know you, who is Christian Hayes?
So like Steven said, I'm Christian Hayes. I graduated from Old Dominion University for my undergrad, currently in school to get my master's at George Mason University. Unlike Steven, we didn't have the huge schools where every single sport was something. So I kind of ended up forcefully adopting myself into being a Penn State fan. So whenever I go out different places and I see people with Penn State stuff, when I talk to them about it, they seem just like me. Half of them don't really know that much, but it's like, oh yeah, my daughter, whoever went to Penn State. I'm like, all right, cool. You sound just like me. I grew up in New York. So Brooklyn, New York is where I'm from, Long Island, Brooklyn. And then I've lived in Virginia for a good majority of my life. I go to New York a lot of the time. Now I'll tell people this, and then if they keep listening to other episodes, they'll start to hear more. But from the DMV area, that's a great way to put it. Steven will understand. Anyone that knows me understands. There's no one set place, because one day you might find me at one place, another time you might find me at another place. And that's really it. I hang out with my friends. I do have a significant other. You'll start to learn about her more and more, how much she's actually helped with either the podcast or even helped with like other different elements of my business. Another big thing is I've just always been a huge cryptocurrency person. Over the years, you'll start to understand my different stories that I do have in time. Basically, if it either comes to Bitcoin, learning about Bitcoin. Fun fact, I've learned about Bitcoin in 2 to 3 different ways. One of them, actually, I was with one of my coworkers at the time. We were just chilling at a farmer's market talking about penny stocks. And then we end up like seeing Bitcoin. And we're like, all right, let's dive into this. So that's one of the ways I end up getting into it. That's big thing about me. I don't have the huge college sports background. I'll always support Old Dominion. We're on the rise now, But when I first got there, Old Dominion was basically extinct when it came to football. Basketball has always been something. We've had a decent amount of people come out of there. Ken Bazemore, shout out, who's a big person for us in the NBA. We do have Zach Pascal and Taylor Heineke in the NFL that are doing things, even though I know Quavo always wants to try and go on Taylor all the time for their records back in high school. But that's basically who I am. So how do we even meet each other?
So we worked at a place. It was the first job I had when I came down here. I moved down to Maryland in 2014. And then so 2015 is when I got married and I started working with you at Sports International, which is a football camp company. I don't know if it's still like in operations right now. Obviously I'm sure last year was a total wash, but it's
tried to get someone a job there and they didn't have it last year.
No, it's not surprising. I don't even know how to describe that place, or what we did. Like, I think you were in marketing side of things.
Yeah.
And I first showed up. You were there before I was. And I first got there. I had an internship doing all their social media stuff, which shout out to myself for enhancing all of their social media platforms.
Yeah.
And then they gave me some other random jobs. And then I ended up with the e-commerce team. That was good. That was such a random
senior of e-commerce.
Yeah. Shout out. That was just a random place that we ended up. I don't even know how I found it. I think I just Google searched social media jobs because that's what I majored in college. And then it was just it was a good start because it was a job. I had no kids at the time. We didn't have any bills. I was living with my mother-in-law. We were just getting married. So it was a good start. We had a good squad there. Shout out to our boy Max.
I know.
Shout out Tiana. Shout out the whole squad there. But it was it was so random because of the things we had to do. Like in the summertime, we were getting ready for the camps and everything, getting all the equipment ready. We'd be in this warehouse that was, it's 100 degrees outside, and we're climbing these scaffolding and these ladders, trying to get all this equipment down and t-shirts. And it's 120 degrees in that warehouse.
Yes. Hardly any fans.
No fans.
If you had a fan, it was like them big old industrial fans.
And it would just blow more hot air. Yes. But we had good times. Like the time that we went to get lunch, and my car was basically on empty. I know you remember this.
I know you remember, wasn't it?
Yes, I had a 2002 Ford Explorer, and a tank of gas could get me from where I lived to our job, and that's about it. Yep. So my tank was basically on empty, and the place we were getting lunch at was a 7 to 10 minute drive away from where we worked at. So on the way back, we ran out of gas.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
And we had to call Tiana, girl we worked with, and she came and got us, she came our way and then drove right by us.
She drove by us. She
was looking dead ahead and making sure she wasn't hitting anything or looking at the traffic. I don't know what she was looking at, but there's no way you could have missed us. We're in this big Ford Explorer, both of us staying on the side of the road, flagging her down, and she goes right by us.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had good times there.
So what happened when we got back? What was the one thing they always talked about because of our lunch breaks?
We always had a clock out for lunch. It was like a summer job, basically, is more or less how I would describe it. Like we got in there, we punched the clock in, we were doing a summer job.
What it was.
And then, we would take lunch breaks, but we would take maybe, half-hour lunch breaks. But when we would leave, they would ask us to punch out because that was, we weren't getting paid for that. But we never did. So maybe they're listening to this, maybe they're not, and they might come find us.
They'll listen down the line. I know.
Yeah, they'll come get a couple $100 from us for stealing all that lunchtime. But we always had a clock out, and we never did. And we would get some emails from some of our coworkers, hey, next time would you guys clock out? No, No one
I never forget that.
we did not take that job seriously whatsoever.
No. Senior
And
e-commerce
yeah, there was
with the
only a
class
handful of
ring.
people there. Chill. There was only a handful of people there that took that job seriously, and we were not two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was how we met, and we've just developed a better friendship over the years. We've been up to Penn State game. We have not been to an Old Dominion game. I'm still waiting for that invite.
That's going to have to happen. What's crazy is I've probably gone to more Penn State games than Old Dominion games. And the only games I ever went to Old Dominion were either a homecoming game or if it was some sort of thing I had to work. I've never actually gone back there after school, gone to basketball games. I've gone to like homecoming concerts, but I've really never gone there. And they actually, thank you to Steven, we got one of their coordinators over there now. So I might have to go there more often.
Yeah,
Ricky, and running back.
Yeah, Ricky Ronnie, Penn State's old offensive coordinator, is now head coach, right?
Yeah,
head coach. I see you got on your shirt there. It says the shift movement. You, my friend, are the founder. Yes.
Yeah. So
founder, president, CEO, the man, the man who knows it all. That's your company. That's your baby. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah. So for starters, if you want to find out more information after this, you can go to any of our social media handles. It'll be Shift Movement LLC across the board. And the company, this specific one, is Shift Movement Digital. The shirt I'm actually wearing we're trying to create something bigger. So it'll be focused on cryptocurrency, which will be the Shift Movement Digital. You can go to shiftmovementco.com to check that out. But you can also end up learning about the other ventures we're trying to do. So we are talking in different other sectors. Down the line, I'll always make sure to update everyone on the podcast about the new things, so you'll get the latest drop. But this one in particular, Shift Movement Digital. So it's a digital investment firm. It is registered and everything. We work with the law firms as well to make sure we're always in compliance. So what we're trying to do is educate as many people as we can. We're focused on the middle class right now because basically the 2 to 5%, the wealthy individuals, they know a good amount about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You have Jack Dorsey, you have Jay-Z, you have Tesla with Elon Musk, you have Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, and all of them know about it and they're educated about it. You can also go to the Bitcoin conference that's in Miami right now. There's so many different ways that people have found out about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency that are in the 1%, 2%, 5%, but the middle class are the ones that more so can benefit from this. And that's our big thing that tell the law firms, I tell my friends, tell everybody that I want to work to educate the average retail investor, is what they basically would call us, and helping everyone to learn about it and investing on their behalf. So a lot of people know about your basics of Bitcoin, Ethereum, which we'll go into detail in a little bit, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and like Dogecoin, but I want to help people understand more than that. So Mark Cuban on some of the different podcasts he'll go on, he'll talk about cryptocurrency, and half the time people don't actually know what he's talking about. So I want to help people learn about them, but also help them learn about them before they get on. You'll learn soon about the Coinbase pump or the Binance pump. And I want people to understand the cryptocurrencies before they are mainstream. So it's kind of like if you think about figuring out about Jimmy Butler. One of my friends was a big person, talked about Jimmy Butler when he was on the Bulls on the bench. And that's the type of cryptocurrency I want people to understand, figuring out about the next up and coming one, but doing the research to understand, all right, so this is going to be something that's big. I probably should invest. A lot of people want to get into Amazon or Apple, but they get into it now when it's worth over 2,500 and such. But what if you got into Bitcoin when it's only worth 8 cents? It's not 8 cents now. It's worth over $38,000. We'll see the price in a little bit, but you have an opportunity to be a part of something big, historic, and generational. It's not just something that'll affect us today. It's something that as we move forward, you'll start to understand and see more about it. So the big premise of this company is just helping people understand and become knowledgeable about it, but also realizing this isn't a get rich quick scheme that Shift Movement is trying to do. It's something that we're trying to set you up for a preservation of wealth, generational wealth, but also using this as a way to diversify. We'll bring on financial advisors down the line too, so you can understand more about that. But diversifying your portfolio, not just having stocks, not just having bonds, not just doing real estate, but also being able to end up investing in cryptocurrency. something that you can even put 5%, 10% of your portfolio in and invest in that way. And you'll learn it's a volatile asset. The whole cryptocurrency space is, but it's an educational premise. You start to understand the decentralized way of what cryptocurrency is. So that's a big point of what I want to do with my company and help people become knowledgeable. Even my content manager will probably talk daily. And every single day, she starts to learn more and more about cryptocurrency. And that's something I want to do for everybody. And even with this podcast that Stephen and I created, it's something that Stephen will even learn more every single time. So each time, everyone's going to learn, and you're able to see that you're not the only one out there that doesn't understand much. And then you can come to me and not just say, let's put $10 in and let's see it go to the moon. But you're able to understand that, all right, let's put this $10 in or this $20 in or even 1,000, and you're able to learn about what you invested in, like Luxo or even Morpheus Lab or Hapler Network, and you're able to understand what they're trying to do for the space. So that's another reason why I created this company, but we can also use this and the company to create partnerships with other cryptocurrencies and help educate the masses in this space so that whenever you go somewhere, they're not saying Bitcoin's a scam. They're able to say, oh no, like I understand how you feel that Bitcoin's a scam, but here's the reasons why it isn't. And here's the reasons why you should not be scared to invest or learn more about Bitcoin in the end.
So that's a good that's a good shameless plug on your company there. Nice work. I think if we took 10 people and you asked them about cryptocurrency, I don't think they would know what Bitcoin is or like what cryptocurrency is. Now, they have heard about cryptocurrency. They've heard about Bitcoin. But like, I would say that maybe one of those 10 people, maybe two, could tell you not on the level that you understand it, but on a very basic intellectual level, what it is. So that kind of brings me to another thing is like, I feel like a lot of people who got on the boat early for the crypto world, like yourself, they understood where it was going and like what the movement was going to be and what how things were just going to be changing. Like it's going to go to that point. Like, cash is always going to money is always going to be there, but like in what form? And that's part of it where my daughter is 4, my son is 2. When they're old enough, graduate college or whatever, and start working in the real world and start making money, who knows how they're going to be paid? Yeah. So that's a long way away, but like, that's just, I feel like the people like yourself who got into it early, who understand it, who are deep into it, who can talk on a greater intellectual level, a lot of people, and then like myself, who are kind of just learning about it, which is which is okay. Cause like, there's obviously different levels to understanding this type of thing. And so like the people, but then you have the other group of people who think it's a get rich scheme. Yes. And it's not like betting on March Madness. It's not like betting on the playoffs or whatever. Yeah. It's not like, boom, I hit the over on. Yeah. It's not like, I hit the over under, I just turned my $50 into $500. Like, you and I talked about it before, like people want to put in that $10 and see it come back as $100 in 24 hours.
Overnight. Yes.
It's just not going to happen. Time. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. So it's a patience thing. And, millennials like us, we don't have a lot of patience. No, I hear that. Especially because I can just take this and I can find the score of the game. I can find, stock prices. I can find literally anything I want on this in a matter of less than a minute. If I know exactly what I'm looking for, I can find it. So we want things like that, which just it's just not realistic for most things, especially when you're doing an investment. And that's why, you go to financial advisors, you go to folks like yourself who know these things and know the value of them and know how long it can take for you to get that return. So again, it's all a learning process, which, you touched on it. This is what, we're going to talk about, the learning process of things. When we do dive into the cryptos, we'll dive into what everything means. the prices of things, what all the numbers mean, the ups and downs. I mean, it's going to go up and down. Like that's just, it's how the thing is.
And people would, and I hear this from a lot of different people I talk to, owners as well. People want to look at their accounts every single day. And it's one of those things you can't. If I can give any recommendation to people, don't look at your account every single day, because the moment it drops $1, you're going to freak out. And it's one of those things of, if we were to freak out every single time it dropped $1, to bring it back to sports, Damian Lillard scores 50 points and they're down 1 point. You're going to freak out. Damian already scored 50. We know he's about to pull more. So don't freak out about that 1 point you're behind, because he's clearly not freaking out. So same thing is, it's a long-term thing. I tell everyone this is a marathon. If you want to run a race, you can end up throwing your money at AMC or BBY or BlackBerry, any of the stock ones that are meme stocks right now, and do that. There are people, don't get me wrong, with AMC that have been in it for a while. Those are the people that knew that this was going to come. And they'll say the same thing as me. You don't just throw money and it goes to the moon. You have to end up holding it for a minute. So with anything, and another thing I learned is I'm taking international finance right now. And that's something I hope I can get the professor on one of these days. But something with international finance, a lot of people don't understand is it will actually provide more truth and understanding as to why cryptocurrency will be needed, because we live in a great country. America is amazing for us. But what a lot of people don't understand and realize is, you go to Venezuela, see how much of the Venezuelan currency or Nigerian currency it takes to end up getting one Bitcoin. It's not going to be $38,000. I can promise you that. The only countries that might be similar to us or even a little less will be like the Singaporean dollar or the British pound or even the euro. But most of your other things, it's not going to end up being the same. So that's another thing, just understanding the conversion rate and how much of your currency it'll take to end up getting to that Bitcoin. So we might not see it here in America that, yeah, we don't really need it, but look globally. So we'll start to touch on it, but it's a digital currency that universally anyone can use. So it's something that can benefit all of us. And it's actually a selfless thing that the pseudonymous person ended up creating. And just you being able to help other people is something bigger than yourself. They didn't have to create Bitcoin or any of these other cryptocurrencies. They wanted to do something because they understood the financial sector and the services that are currently in place, and then the currencies, and some of them actually failing. You're dealing with depression in some places, you're dealing with recession, and this is something that we can use as a hedge. Now, will everyone invest in it? No. Steve and I talk about it all the time. It might not be for everybody, but for the people that do think it is a good idea, or the people that they talk to, that's something that can benefit them. And maybe they can educate other people on that.
And that's sort of where I'd like to get to, is because that's going to start being a conversation that you have with people about Bitcoin. Now it's not going to be like you're talking about the weather, right? But it's going to become more and more relevant in everyday life. So you got to have some sort of knowledge, because like you said, it's going to be there for hopefully a long time. So, and we'll start with the basics and get people up to speed on things, and we'll get to, the ins and outs of everything. We'll go over crypto 101 and terminology and what everything means. And it actually brings me to a good segue to
what you got for me today.
Bring up some of these numbers. Let me find it real quick. Where was I here?
So while Steven's end up doing that, looking for the numbers, something that we're going to touch on a lot is understanding where we can do research to start out. So everyone wants to end up, they hear the names, they hear Dogecoin, they'll hear Chainlink, they'll hear any of those reserve coin, reserve rights, and you wonder, well, where do you start? So the big ones that a lot of people can start with, just type in Coin Market Cap, Coin Gecko, Coin Paprika. Those are all good, different starting points, because then when you're at those different places, so we use Coin Market Cap. We'll try to stay consistent with this, but I will want to introduce other people to different coins and tokens. You'll start to understand that as well. But even just looking at the top, so you have Bitcoin, which is something that a lot of people need to understand. And before that point, you need to understand what cryptocurrency is. And cryptocurrency is basically a digital asset that's designed to be a medium of exchange. So basically, like we exchange dollars in America, Singaporean dollars, or even you have the British pound, any of those things, it's the same way. And then also the biggest part about cryptocurrency is it's all stored on a blockchain. And then you have ledgers. So with the cryptocurrency, let's say Steven and I were going to 7-Eleven. Let's say I didn't have money on me, but Steven was like, don't worry, I got you. I'll pay for it. So then I'll end up sending him. I personally wouldn't use Bitcoin because if I'm giving Steven $1 today, that dollar in probably a couple of years, it's not going to be $1. Shout out to Bitcoin Pizza from back in the day. But the exchange that we just made is a block. And that block, if we were to end up making more transactions of us exchanging money, or let's just say my girlfriend, his wife, or our friends, and we all make different transactions with cryptocurrency, it'll then be a chain of blocks, which is called a blockchain. And so it's a place that everybody can see every single transaction. A huge part about that is, and not trying to end up throwing politics or anything into this, but with cryptocurrency, you're able to then understand that everything is transparent. So any transaction we have ever made, you're able to end up seeing. Let's just say Mark Cuban made a transaction, or Elon Musk. You don't know them by name, but you'll know them by their wallet addresses. And that's a huge thing, just to understand what their wallet, what each person is doing. So a sense of transparency, so you know that everyone is being honest in the space. You can't track down what items are sold, but you can see, all right, like this transaction was made, or they call it whales in the space. If you end up using $1 million or billions of dollars to end up buying or selling something. So with that, it's a huge thing, because you're then like, all right, so more people are getting into the space. You're able to see how many wallet holders there are. And then the next big one you have is Ethereum. So Bitcoin is the major player that's always going to be at the top. They call that the grandfather. Some people call it the MySpace of cryptocurrency because it was the first one. I don't think it's necessarily the MySpace, because MySpace got taken over by a bunch of different other social media platforms. But Bitcoin was basically created by the anonymous person, Satoshi Nakamoto. So they call him pseudonymous because they don't know if it's one person, a group of people. But if you were to ever look at the white paper that's online, or if you end up going to the city of Miami's website, you can end up finding out Bitcoin there, because they have Bitcoin white paper. And it basically explains what is Bitcoin and how it was created. It was created in 2009. And like I said before, the valuation of Bitcoin in 2010 was 8 cents. So a lot of people didn't understand it back then, but a lot of times people either used it for illegal activity and different things. And that's all it was at one point. Some people invested in it that really believed in it, but we're getting away from that point of using it only for illegal activity. And we're using it more for a store of value, a preservation of wealth, but also something that is knowledge-based. With America basically dealing with an inflation right now, a lot of people call it the burr, because all the time, it's always just money printing. The value of the dollar is going down. I literally just went to get my oil change last week. Always used to be $60 to $70. Faithfully, I know also the whole gasoline thing was a big thing too, but my oils cost $100. There's no other reason why an oil change is going to cost $100 when it was always $60 to $70. You can go buy that Snicker bar that was $1. It's now $1.50 to $2. So it's a huge difference. And you're able to keep the value of your dollars, or your fiat, that's what they call it, for everyone, in Bitcoin. And as the price ends up going up, the value of your money will increase. That same dollar will still be able, that you invested, you'll be able to buy that candy bar still, or you'll be able to buy other things. You'll hear about something, and I don't want to recommend this to everyone. It depends on your risk tolerance. You hear about people in the stock market, but also in cryptocurrency, taking out a loan, and they'll take out that loan, but then they'll invest it in Bitcoin. Because when you look at the percentage growth between the loan that you end up are paying back and then Bitcoin and stocks, you're going to end up making more for your money in that. Now, again, one, you have to have the money to do that, but you also have the risk to do that. But also you still want to be paying off that loan, because you don't want to end up defaulting on it or leave it there. But that's a big thing that people start to understand. The price point of Bitcoin will continue to increase over time, not overnight, as a lot of people like to think, but over time. And with Bitcoin, as well as Ethereum, shout out to Vitalik Buterin, who literally made this as a teenager with a couple of different people that helped him out. Can't even fathom, as a teenager, me creating the second largest cryptocurrency that is worth over $50 billion. And he had a team like Gavin Wood was another one that helped. Charles Hodgkinson, and then you also have Fabian Vogelsteller, and they created Ethereum. Ethereum is a platform that a lot of different cryptocurrencies can be built on top of because Ethereum has its own blockchain. Now, when different currencies are exchanged on Ethereum, it's something called a gas fee. So a lot of people use the terminology GUI or GUI. And with that, you're basically charged a fee for using Ethereum as the payment method. So think about you basically being on any type of platform and you being charged for it. Only thing is, you can send a method of cryptocurrency overseas. So if Steven, let's just use him as an example again, he's in the Ukraine. For some random reason, Steven's in the Ukraine and he's like, yo, I don't have any money on me. Can you help me out? I can send him money from where I am over there and he'll get it even closer to the end of the day, probably within that hour or within the 30 minutes. It depends on the validator nodes and different things of that nature after they approve everything and the speed of which the transaction happened. And he'll be able to pay.
I'm going to stop you right there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
People who are watching this, it might seem like I'm not like interested just because I'm sitting here. I'm listening to everything you're saying right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're just dropping knowledge.
Yeah, it's
like you just like, I'll let you get back to what you're saying, but I can like just knowing you like I do, and I know that this is something that you're very passionate about. Like you just flip that switch, and you're gone. You're like
Sean Merriman.
Yeah, this is like a lecture hall right now.
Yep, I know.
Like we should just devote this entire thing to because you're just gonna keep going. Like, and I'm like, and it's one of those things. It's not it's not a bad thing. You're just like, this is what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, you know sports. That's kind of how we became better friends. But this is it's still new.
Yes.
Like, and you're still learning, and you're still gaining more knowledge, as is myself, the rest of people who are on the different levels of understanding this. So I mean, keep going, my guy. Like, just keep going. You're like the Mel Kiper Jr. right now.
I know, right?
of the crypto world in this moment in time. So keep exploring, keep going, just doing what you're doing. And like with I'll kind of bring it to this, like on this page we have all these different companies, all these different numbers, all these different prices. What's like, if you're giving someone advice about diving
go back to it, because I don't think they're looking at it.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. So you're at 3D modeling, but while Steven's going on with that, I'll finish up with two different things when he brings it up. A big thing is Binance Coin, and Binance Coin is the utility token that's actually on the Binance exchange. So it actually allows your fees to be cheaper when you use the Binance Coin, which is actually number 3 in market cap. As you can see, it's over 64 billion. I kind of lied to you all saying that Ethereum was over 50 billion. I should have said it's over $300 billion in value. And Binance Coin is another big thing. Shout out to CZ. He does absolutely a lot. He has a Binance for everybody, but then he also has a Binance US for American citizens. There's a lot of different regulations that a lot of different cryptocurrencies don't necessarily want to go through to be in America. Then even more specifically in America, they don't always want to go through regulations in New York. So you'll notice that a lot of different things, they'll say, all right, you know what, we'll open it up to everyone in America, but not in New York. So that, don't feel bad if you're in New York. You might just want to move out the state if you want to partake in certain things with cryptocurrency. And the last thing I want to show you guys is the number 4 coin. So that's Tether. So it's pegged to the US dollar, and they consider it a stable coin. There's $61 billion within US dollar Tether currently right now, because Bitcoin is also in a pullback. I need to reiterate that because people think that Bitcoin has gone forever since it dropped from 60,000 all the way down to 30,000 at one point. Bitcoin is not gone. It's something that is actually healthy. It's called a healthy pullback. If something runs up forever, then every single stock analyst is going to say, all right, that's not good. As long as you see some sort of pullback and consolidation, then it continues to move, then people will believe in it and it'll start to move up. A lot of different end up Forbes 500 companies, but also institutional investors got in at this point. And switching from the US dollar tether, because that was cryptocurrency, and we'll start the segue into sports, but we'll do another one of our fast breaks. To get Steven back into this, we could talk about Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. So a big thing with that is Floyd Mayweather actually just started his NFT, so he's going to do that. So that looking for a platform to end up having the NFTs on. But another big thing, and it's a cryptocurrency I personally haven't even heard, but Super Bid. So Super Bid is going to be actually creating and giving Logan Paul the shorts he's going to wear for his. And the other big thing with that is a form of exchange, and a currency that will be used for this fight is Ethereum Max. So you can pay using Ethereum Max to get a ticket for that. So we'll just stay on this really quick, but Steven, who you got?
I got Floyd. Like I'm not gonna get into the reasons why. Like neither one of them are good human beings. But I want Floyd to. Yeah, I think we all do.
So our next quick take, because that was something quick and simple. It wasn't something that a lot of people probably even knew about this fight, but it's something that pertained to cryptocurrency and sports. We just want to acknowledge what happened last night within the NHL. We will talk a lot about the NFL and then the NBA, but we send our condolences and we send our prayers up for Jake Evans, who he made the goal, which was amazing that he made it, but Scheifele from the Winnipeg Jets literally laid him out. One of those things that Jake Evans probably had 2 seconds to look up and then damn, smacked. They ejected Scheifele from the game and they're discussing like what sort of suspension. At one point I heard it was probably 5 games they'll end up doing, but it was one of those things that as soon as he got hit, refs all knew. They literally were like, all right, you know what, pause it. This is one of those hits. He's going to get up. Evans was down. He made the goal and then the Canadians ended up winning. So I wanted to end up congratulating them for that. And just also extending acknowledgement of this, but also hoping for the best and a speedy recovery for Jake, because any person that's able to still make the goal, but also end up giving a thumbs up, and they're saying that he will be better in time, he definitely deserves all the credit in the world.
I mean, like as fans, like there's like the part of you that loves like the big hits, but it's like, you know, like that split second of, ooh, we love to see that person get laid out.
Yeah.
But if they're motionless,
no,
it's like, okay, you shift your focus a little bit. And that's, we definitely wish for a speedy recovery and get back into the playoffs for him. So and that's next, like NHL players, man, they're just like, he'll be back.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Not everyone getting up from that hit. And that's something some people need to realize and focus on, that the hits are different in every sport. Yes, he got pads on, but they're on ice skates. That is not normal. So one, you're balancing on these 2 skates that you have. Then you're getting knocked on knives. Yes,
they're knives. I mean, let's just call it
what it is. I know.
Like you're skating on a knife. And if that goes the wrong way and that swings up, which we haven't seen that recently, thank God, or lately,
hopefully.
But we've all seen videos of goalies, players coming in front of the goalies and getting slashed, and it's just a barbaric thing because you're skating on knives.
Yeah, that's really what it is. And you brought up something else. You were talking about focus on what actually happened. I think there's something else I want to focus on, and that is mental health. Because I think about that with Jake Evans, what happened to him. And at least I know something has to be up. I don't know if he has a concussion or what. And that's why I end up segueing with this, because of the next topic of just talking about Naomi Osaka and just what happened with her. I will start by saying she was fined $15,000, but there's a meditation app called Calm, something I use as well. The Calm app ended up paying for her fine that she ended up having. But I'll just go into a little detail about what happened, Steven. I definitely want to hear your thoughts as we talk about this. But Naomi Osaka, ever since she beat Serena Williams in the US Open, she suffered with depression a good amount of the time. She's had different phases of suffering with depression, but she also said that a lot of times when she goes to this interviews, she starts to end up doubting herself, and she suffered from anxiety. And the French, basically the French tennis affiliates, they fined her for that. I don't know if it was something that they felt they needed to do to just set the precedent, or if it was something that they didn't like that she didn't talk to the media. But what are your thoughts about getting fined for mental health, basically, in a gist?
So I think it's there's two sides of it, because we saw this with Kyrie, Steve Nash as well. Kyrie had the whole thing where he wasn't going to talk to the media, and it's a contractual obligation for players, at least within basketball. I don't know the parameters of it within other sports, but I know that that's a contractual obligation where you have to talk to the media after the game. So you can skip it. Sure. Like it's really your choice to skip it. But you're going to get fined. So you just eat that fine. Now with Naomi, it's like, I get that it's part of it where she has to talk to the media. Again, I don't know what her contract, or what the rules are within tennis, to have to talk to the media, but I think that's why she got fined, is because she skipped out on it.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of different like aspects of it that you got to think about, where mental health, I mean, we've seen it with with a lot of NBA players. Yeah, Kevin Love is probably the biggest name that brought it to light. Big shout out to Kevin Love. For it just sucks because like mental health is a real thing. It's not just like for the common folks like you and I. It's a real it's a real thing for everybody, and it doesn't make you weak. Now with Naomi, like she says, she feels out of place sometimes when she's talking to the media, doesn't know how to do it. Like I wouldn't know how to do it either.
Yeah,
so
no.
and
she's young,
and her come up was so quick that I don't know if she really had. It's not like, I'm not going to compare her to LeBron James, but LeBron had that in front of him, the media, the cameras, the microphones. Now, granted, it wasn't like what it was now back in 2001, 2002, 2003, when he was coming up and people knew about him. But she hasn't been there that long. She hasn't been at the top that long, so she is very new to it. So I understand that. But like mental health, just for example, like, I mean, dude, like I have two kids. I have two kids. Both my wife and I, we both have jobs. My wife has her own private practice. And we're dealing with, over the last year, we've dealt with everything that's gone on in the world, starting with the pandemic and just everything else that's gone on. Our kids don't obviously know what's going on. They're still in their own little world, which is great. Like I could not imagine having kids that are able to understand what's going on, because I'm just not ready to have that conversation with my kids about like a pandemic, social injustice. Like there's conversations that I'm just like, I just don't know how to have that with my kids. It's easy to talk about it with with you or my wife, whatever. But like, mental health over the last year has become a really big thing. When like, trying to focus on work and, providing and going through that with my kids and my wife and everything, it's mentally draining.
Yeah.
Now I can only imagine what it's like for athletes, because their whole world completely changed.
Yeah.
Like, you were face to face with the media. Now it's, I think most of the interviews are done over Zoom or some sort of, teleconference type of thing. So, and then I saw other people saying like, oh, she's, worth, she worth however much money, she gets however much money, and she can afford to like, take care of herself in that regard. And it's like, that doesn't mean shit.
No.
Like that is like, you can have all the money in the world, and that doesn't mean that your mental health is easier to take care of than ours. Being Joe Schmo. So I think like you gotta give them their space, and it's like as sports fans, we're very selfish about those things too. Because like she's one of the best tennis players in the world. So obviously we want to see her keep going. We want to see her compete in the French Open, win the French Open. Cause it's like, it's just like, it goes back to, like it goes back to like LeBron. Like we want to see him just keep going and going and going. But like, he's like, he needs a break at times, or like, people don't appreciate the athletes for like what they're putting into the sport, like how much it just drains them. Like, I'll tell you a story. Like you obviously know, Jordan, one of my roommate from college played at Penn State, played football at Penn State. I think got drafted by the Seahawks. And he's now out of the league. I think he played 5 seasons in the NFL, played with the Seahawks and a couple stints with the Lions was his last stop, but he had injury after injury. And that's the reason why he's out of the league. Now they all different injuries, to his biceps a couple of times, messed up his calf, his back, and like his body is just like, and he's 30 and he's retired. And it's just like, his body isn't breaking down. But it's like that definitely wears on you. And he just had his second kid. Shout out to Jordan and Kristen.
Congratulations.
Yep. And they have a daughter who's 2. So, you got to keep up with them, but like, he's going to get older. They're going to get older. And like his body it's going to start to hurt a lot more. So like these men and women put so much into that sport for people like us to watch them do this. So when their mental capacity starts to shrink and they start to feel a certain way, or, they need to take a break from something, we as fans are like, no. Like you got to keep, you got to keep playing because I want to watch you play. Like it, but that's not fair. Like if they want to take a break and if she wants to just go sit on her couch for a couple months,
it doesn't work like that.
Dude, like it doesn't work like that for like in the world of sports, like how we view it, but like do your thing.
Yeah.
Like go do you. Go sit in a quiet room, whatever you want to do. Like go sit on your couch, go watch Netflix and chill. I don't care what you do. Like get your mental game right, because that's the most important thing for anybody. Like, and that's like it's people don't ever think about it as like that. People too worried about, they're too worried about making money. They're too worried about a handful of other things going on, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a shit ton of things going on in the world that people are focusing on more so than their mental health. But like, that's something that you got to take care of, no matter what your occupation is, no matter how old you are. Take care of that. And if she wants to take a break, fine, go do it. I don't care.
Before we switch topics, I just want to end up putting this piece out there because I've watched tennis probably for years. My mom's always loved watching tennis. And a lot of people, this is one of the sports that the Black female athlete is so big in this sport. And everyone knew Venus Williams and Serena Williams. And I feel as though everyone's trying to push in women's tennis the next Black female tennis player that's going to be good. They tried to do it with Sloane Stephens. They tried to do it with Coco Gauff. And they finally found someone with Naomi Osaka that they literally want to put her everywhere. And she's only, Steven, I just looked it up. She's only 23 years old, 23 worth over $25 million. And that's so young to be pushed, basically forced into that because Serena had a kid, Venus is getting older, and then Sloane Stephens and Coco Gauff, they're still out there. But Naomi has taken that and run with it, is winning championships in the different countries when these different tennis opens are being played. And it's kind of one of those things that she'll never be able to be a normal person again because they found something. They want to just run with it.
Deadass, if she wants to retire today and just say, hey, like I can't do it anymore, or like retire for like a while, like a couple years, and like get things right. Just, like go do it. Like there's no one stopping you. Like it sucks because like as a fan, again, like we're selfish and we want to see her win as much as possible. Like, it's on like a deeper level where like you can tell your kids and your grandkids, I saw her dominate from day one to the end of her career. However many Grand Slams she won. It's like my buddy Kumar and I, we talk about LeBron all the time. And I hate going back to LeBron, but he's always like, he's that guy for us.
He'll bring him up a lot.
I will. Yeah. LeBron's that's my guy. We're boys like that. St. Vincent, St. Mary, stand up.
I know, right?
But like we've seen him, he's the first athlete like of our generation, really, that we've seen that we can like remember being that young and seeing him from day one, the McDonald's All-American dunk contest.
High school.
I still remember watching that dunk contest. Saw him get drafted, take the Cavs to the finals when he was 22 against the Spurs. He was playing with guys like us, and no,
they were
no
doing the pictures and everything the whole time.
Yeah, no disrespect. But we've seen him go from that to what he is now, and like, dude, we can talk about this if we want, but whether they win tonight or lose, like his career is what it is. Yeah. I think his legacy as one of the top 2 or 3 greatest basketball players of all time is cemented, right? But we want to, like with Naomi, we want to see that. Like we want to see her dominate because she's been doing that so far. But if she wants to take some time off, go ahead, girl. Yeah. Like just take a break. We'll all be here. You're young. The most important thing is, and that's crazy that she's that young. Like, and people are just dogging her like this. Like, go get your mental game right. Go relax. Go on a beach somewhere. You got your money. It's not going anywhere. But like your mental health, like can totally leave you, and you can just go absolutely crazy. So take your break, relax, come back when you're ready, and we'll be here.
Yeah. You brought up something because you were talking about the Lakers tonight. So let me just give some quick updates. Trailblazers Nuggets are at halftime, 61-68. Trailblazers, shout out Dame Dollar. The Lakers Suns play at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, 7:30 p.m. Western time, Pacific Coast time. Steven always says that. I'll never forget whenever we talk. Those games are so late. But let's go down the list and then I'll let Steven get his opinions on it. So East is basically done. So I'll basically just ask for quick points on that one. Next time we'll end up giving more input as to who we think is going to win. And we'll give like an exciting matchups with those. So first one, Philly, Washington. What were your thoughts of that one? 4-1.
Not surprised. I thought Washington might get the W last night without Joel Embiid. That's another thing. Like, how long is he going to be out for? Meniscus tear. Like, that doesn't sound day to day.
He has those issues with those knees.
He's as fragile as Anthony Davis is. Every time they go up and like their feet leave the floor, you're like, oh my God, they're going to break something, tear something, rupture something. You just have no idea. And it's been like that since day one for both of them. So that's tough. But yeah, I'm not surprised they won. They got it done early, but we'll see what Embiid's status is.
One of my coworkers, he's actually a Wizards fan. As soon as the Rockets traded for the John Wall and then the Wizards got Russell Westbrook, first off, I don't know why everybody in Washington was upset that they were losing John Wall. Clearly, you can see who won the deal right there because John Wall injured and he didn't want to be there no more. But I told him as soon as they got there, I said, Wizards going to the playoffs. Doesn't matter. I don't know what seed, but when you have Russell Westbrook, I can almost promise you, Westbrook is not a loser. He's going to make sure they get into the playoffs. Now, what happens in the playoffs, your guess is as good as mine, but he's going to get you there no matter what.
Yes, facts.
Your next one is, let's go with Ice Tray. So Atlanta Hawks and New York Knicks. That was another one, 4-1. What are your thoughts?
I'm glad the Knicks lost because I'm really tired of Knicks fans already.
See,
like
Spike Lee walking off.
Yeah, just to take a page out of Mark Jackson's book, with all due respect, it's cool that the Knicks are relevant again. I'm hoping they get another piece to add in with Julius Randle. But their fans are just like they're out there, man. Like they were celebrating. They won. Was it game 1 or I think it was they won game 2, and their fans were celebrating it. Hype, bro. They were hype when they clinched a playoff berth. You thought they would have won the NBA Finals. Like basketball is really, especially the NBA is really good when the Garden is jumping. I think everyone can agree with that. Like you can just see it on TV. You have all the celebrities there. They're hyped because those are actual like the celebrities at those games, like Lakers games. Those are true celebrity fans of that team.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you got to have a lot of Skrilla to get those seats.
Knicks
but
and Lakers. Good gosh.
Yeah, right. I gotta take out a second mortgage to get those
Right.
seats, but those probably more than a mortgage. But
yeah, you do.
It's good to see New York basketball, and they were they had a good season. Julius Randle. Hopefully, he can just keep going and going. But
most improved.
Kind of surprised that the Hawks won. I wasn't too sure what to expect from them. But shout out to Trae Young. He now is, I wouldn't say a villain, because they I don't think he's gonna go
everything.
Yeah, like I mean, I think it's just like the New York, like being in the Garden and Knicks fan, because they were dogging him for a long time, and I think I don't know how many people thought the Knicks were gonna win that series, but I felt like they had a lot more support behind them, and he just said nope, it's a wrap, and he's Did you watch the game last night?
Yeah.
Did you see when it was the end of the game? I think it was under a minute left. The Knicks fans started giving them a standing ovation, and Trae Young pulled up from 30 feet and hit a three.
Yeah,
that was so petty. It was so great, and he just splashed right in Reggie Bullock's face.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised the Hawks won, but I don't. I think now if Embiid is hurt, that series could go either way, just because Trae Young can get hot, and I don't know who on Philly could get hot with him.
That's the thing. Philly's one of those. They're not going to be a run and gun team. They definitely, because Doc is there, you're half court. They definitely play a lot of that because Ben will bring it up, or whoever is going to bring it up, and then they'll set it up or try and get in the post. But Trae is one of those people that can pull up. Of course, you got Steph, and then you have Dame that are going to pull up. But Trae is almost in that category. He's going to come down and pull up, but he's also like Steph. If he gets injured, it's over kind of for them. But his injuries, like with your big men, it's going to be your knees a lot of the time. With Trae, it's going to be his ankles. And if that ankle gives out and says, "Nah, sorry, not today," Hawks season is over. Like no Migos, no ATL, nobody gonna be saying nothing.
Yep.
But
we know where Lou Will's gonna end up at, though.
Yeah, I know. Some more chicken wings.
Yeah, get those wings.
The one that's not as surprising, but a lot of people probably might be surprised, was the Miami Heat and Milwaukee Bucks series. That was 4-0. A lot of times I like to tell people, COVID, you got to have that mindset. Going back to mental health and that mental capacity, Jimmy Butler was just different in the bubble. That's why that happened. A lot of people want to talk about Giannis and Giannis's team, but Jimmy gave it his all last year. And just like the Lakers, you can see with both of these teams, they're exhausted. Like they are dog tired. So what are your thoughts on Bucks Heat?
Not surprising, but like I thought maybe Miami would, because they had so much hype. I maybe thought it would kind of 5 or 6 games, but not. I mean, I think everyone expected the Bucks to win, but maybe not that convincingly.
Yeah,
Miami was never close.
None.
No. Like they weren't even close in any of the games. So it sets up the. I mean, we can just jump right into it. It sets up the great matchup between the Bucks and the Nets.
That's a good one. Yeah,
I think the Nets can score, 140 points, and so can the Bucks. But like the Bucks are a team where all you need is, 2 or 3 minutes of getting stops. Now that's
exactly their defense. I will say that
it's easier said than done against a team like Brooklyn, but you have Drew Holiday, who can not lock down but Kyrie, but he's going to get up in his grill.
Something.
Yeah. And you have Middleton, you have Lopez. I think Milwaukee's size, I mean, Giannis is going to do his thing, but
they're going to put Giannis on KD, I would assume.
Yeah. And they had great matchups during the regular season.
One of the few that can block him.
Yeah. And this is I think this is a big series for Giannis. It's not big for, I think the only other player it would be big for would be James Harden, but that would be if Durant and Kyrie, they don't show up, or one of them gets hurt and he's got to carry it a little bit. But I think just because he has those two other guys, like it doesn't like mean as much for him. Like if he gets a title, Like he's gonna have a title. It's gonna be in the record books. But like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like Durant's titles. Like, they count, yeah, but like,
They don't really count.
yeah, they don't really count.
Yeah.
So like, this is big for Giannis though. If he takes out the Bucks, I mean, if he takes out the Nets,
that's big.
That's huge for him. But he's got to follow it up with taking out the Hawks or the Sixers and getting to the finals. So this is a big, stretch for him. But I think this is gonna be a great series.
My other big thing with that is it might be an X factor, but PJ Tucker and James Harden. Tucker is going to want some of Harden at least once or twice. Middleton, yeah, he can take Harden if he wants to, but this is a Rockets matchup right there because Tucker and Harden, they went at each other day in and day out. Tucker's going to come into the arena, fly with his shoes and everything, but at the end of the day, you're going to see the Drew Holiday Kyrie matchup. You'll probably have Middleton and Tucker giving each other work on Harden, and then you're going to have the KD Giannis matchup, which are going to be big. So then your other X factor is going to have to be one of the bigs. I don't know if Jeff Green's going to try and do it, DeAndre Jordan, or even if it's going to be Blake Griffin. Joe Harris is going to give you buckets, so we can exclude him. But in terms of the bigs, someone's going to have to do something. Who's going to get the rebounds? Because it's the three that are going to put up the shots.
Mm-hmm. I think someone like Brook Lopez, but I think like just someone like also Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's super under the radar. He's not flashy.
Shot for shot.
Yeah. He's not flashy. He doesn't he's not going to wow you with anything, but he's he can get buckets and he's going to need to be in like that 22 to 26 points per game range if they're going to have any chance, obviously. And Drew Holiday is going to have to be in the same mode, but they're going to have to rely on like that 2 to 3, maybe 4 minute stretch of getting stops and then, converting on the other end, which is again, easier said than done against the Nets. But, if there's any team in the league that can do it,
matchup. Yeah. That's a matchup.
It's going to be the Bucks. If we're talking getting a stop on Brooklyn.
Let me go with the switch up and let's bring it over to the West because that's where the big games are. Just a quick update. Trailblazers Nuggets 82-70 third quarter. Trailblazers still winning. So this is about to go 7 games at this rate. But let's start with Utah Memphis. So the one team you'll start to realize I'll bring up a lot because they've come a long way, the Grizzlies. They used to be the grindhouse, but now it's they're totally different. So Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, they'll be back around. This is the second time they were in the bubble. This year they're doing it. They got a game. Ja Morant's been doing good. Dylan Brooks has been helping. You got the big man as well. And what are your thoughts? 4-1, and Utah was the number 1 seed. So they'll play the winner of Dallas or Clippers.
I think it was a good test for Utah because I don't know how many people trust Utah. I know people, Donovan Mitchell's going to get his buckets, but Gobert.
Gobert.
No, this guy. Made me lose my train of thought with that nonsense.
He's a lot
I don't know how many people trust them.
Fully.
No, and this is people will knock him for any number of things, and we've talked about before, he should get MVP love. And I know he gets banged on in games. I know he'll flop or he'll get muscle, but the dude's gonna have his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah.
3rd. Okay. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
3rd.
Yeah.
He doesn't score a lot of points. He's like a lesser Dwight Howard when Dwight was in Orlando.
Yes.
Doesn't have the crazy athleticism. He's big as hell, but I think he doesn't get enough credit because it's Utah. There's nothing special about the Utah Jazz.
No, never.
They're not flashy. They just nail threes all the time. So, again, I don't know how many people trust Utah because I think we've seen this movie before a little bit with the Jazz. A lot of expectation to get to the playoffs, and they will. So
they're a team that I have a lot of respect for since as far as they've come. I know I joke around a lot about I'll do it with Rudy Gobert. I'll joke around when we talk about our old jobs as well. But someone I definitely respect is Rudy Gobert, because like Steven said, he is getting dunked on all the time. He's going to be on all the posters, but Donovan Mitchell, no matter all the issues and problems they had during COVID, promise you he's still going to want to be playing with Rudy Gobert. You can hate the man off the court, but on the court, he's going to get you boards. He's going to get you blocks. People are going to think twice about just trying to drive in there. Watch how a game changes if Gobert ever is out the game or if he fouls out the game compared to when he has 1 or 2 fouls and he's been doing good. That paint is different in there. And the Grizzlies found that out.
Yeah, and the Grizzlies, I don't know what people expected from them, but
just them getting there.
Yeah, like shout out John Morant. They need a couple more pieces, obviously, to get up there in the standings and become like a more relevant team. But I mean, if he keeps taking those next steps, yeah, they're definitely going to be back around. And they just, like I said, they need to get another piece, and they'll be all right. I don't know if they're ever going to be like title contenders unless they get like a big piece and Morant takes big leaps. But speaking of title contenders, we got that second game tonight at 10:30 Eastern start.
So we can talk about that one. 3-2 right now is the series. What are your thoughts?
I don't like. Again, I love LeBron, and
Steven driving news, AD playing too.
We just like I just don't know what I don't know what LeBron we're gonna see tonight. My guess is like this is like Tom Brady. Like I'm never going to count out LeBron. Like I know he's lost in the playoffs. I know he's lost in the finals. He's had bad games before in the playoffs. So was Tom Brady. And Brady, same it was last year. Like I didn't expect Brady to win it all. I thought the Chiefs were that next team up and that team of destiny to keep going. And TB had other thoughts, but it's like LeBron. Like I'm not going to count him out. Like I've seen the man do some crazy shit in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We can go back to game 1 of the 2018 finals, 51-8-8. Shout out to J.R. Smith for ruining that. We can go back to Boston in 2012 when he dropped 45-15-5. Yeah. I mean, there's so many examples of like him doing that. And that was like game 6, do or die. He's got the highest points per game, the highest stat line for elimination games. Like he's like 33, 34, 11, and like 6. He needs to do what Luka did last night with like a 42 and 14 type of thing. So I don't think they're going to win. I don't think LA is going to win. I think like they're just kind of like they just hit that point now. Like they had a 72-day layoff between seasons, not like between games, but between seasons.
No, seasons, yeah.
You went through a whole year season, from the 2019 or the 2020 season. You had a whole like almost calendar year of playing basketball. And then you go 72 days between the end of last season and the beginning of this season. 72 days. That's wild. Yeah. And you get the playing game.
Your all to in the bubble.
That's the thing. So I don't think they're going to win tonight. Will I be surprised if they win? Yeah, I think so. I think like I don't think we're seeing the decline of LeBron because like you give him a full offseason to recover and get right, and AD's the way they'll be fine next year. Like they should be one of the favorites next year as well. But I think this is it this season. I think tonight they lose.
So
I mean, me, like me saying that
he doesn't say that.
Like me saying that LeBron, like I just don't think he, based on like the body language that we've seen, and I know we've seen that movie before with LeBron, kind of like moping around, whatever. Like that's we've come accustomed to that, and we've seen him come back with those crazy games. And unless he's aggressive to start and like locked in from the jump, and he's got a 12, 13 point first quarter, it's a wrap.
Yeah, I'll give my quick thoughts and we can move on to the next game. I honestly, for some reason, because it's in LA, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers win this one and then they lose in game 7. It'll be some crazy stuff, but it's one of those that just like Tom Brady, just like Patrick Mahomes, when they're at home, it's just a different thing. Granted, LeBron got like 3 homes at this point. Taking to Miami, he gonna try and win there. Taking Cleveland, he gonna want to win there. But I don't know. AD, if he even just gives 2%, I will say that the rest of the team needs to step up. Everybody needs to step up. I'll need to see more of Caruso, even though he's been doing a lot. Andre Drummond, I'm going to
Bro,
need to see more of him.
me and Dennis Schroeder had the same stat line the other night. I think he had one more assist than I did.
Yep.
Like we scored the same amount of points.
Mm-hmm. And they wanted him. They could have had all these different guards. And they said, let's go with Schroeder. So he needs to definitely step up, or because of how LeBron teams go, if you don't provide and put in work this game and y'all lose, off season's going to be different. Both LA teams, off season different if they don't win. So we can go into the game that's happening now. It's 79-93, actually, right now with 4 minutes left. Well, actually, 82-93, quarter three still. So Trailblazers are winning. So it's 3-2. One, who do you have tonight, even though it's kind of already lopsided? And it's, in a sense, if Damian and CJ McCollum, and then shout out 6-man Carmelo Anthony, can keep it up, who do you have in this series and in this game?
Blazers. I just think Dame it gets hot. Like even though he had 50, he shot 70% from the field and from three, and 90% from the foul line. He also had 10 assists and I think 3 blocks, and they still lost.
That's
like,
wild,
bro. Like you got to go in that locker room and you got to fight everybody on that team. Everybody. I don't care if it's Melo. I don't care if it's coach. I don't care if it's the water boy. You got to fight everybody in that locker room and be like, wake up, like Dame or like CJ. Where you at, Melo? I know you're an old head, but like you got to give me 20.
Yeah.
So I think the Blazers do win, because that's like, I don't say that's an anomaly for that to happen. He scores that many points and they lose, but like, it's just wild that a player can do that and they still lose.
He don't have many points this night. So McCollum and Damian both have 19 points. Damian has 11 assists. So you can tell that he's definitely been giving up. Covington has 11. But for the Nuggets side, you have Michael Porter Jr., 26 points. So that's been a big thing. So with that series, we kind of feel a similar way about it. Definitely because, one, Damian is just one of those players you can only respect because of him on and off the court. But let's go to the series that is probably one of the most talked about, not because of the two teams, but because of one side with the Mavericks and the Clippers. So that's another 3-2 series. Who do you have in that one? Because it started off 0-2.
I'll go with the Mavs.
Okay.
I think I trust Luka more than I trust Paul George. I don't know if I trust him more than Kawhi Leonard, but like, I mean, Kawhi wasn't great last night. I think Luka, we don't have to get into this tonight, but Luka being a top 5 player in the league, which he is, which no one wants to admit right now, but he is. I mean, last night was crazy. Dropped 19 in the first quarter, ended up with 42 and 14 assists. Like that's like LeBron-esque. Yeah. Like that's, there's not too many guys who can do that. I think the Mavs going back home, their first playoff series win with Luka potentially at home. Mark Cuban's going to be crazy
on 1 trillion energy.
Yeah. So I think, I'm going to go with the Mavs.
All right. I'm probably, because I know Kawhi. So Kawhi doesn't say much, but another reason why, if you look at how the games have played out, Rondo was a key to the Lakers winning last year. They are not using Rondo in that same capacity. They are giving him his 10 to 20 minutes, if a little more. But Rondo is playoff Rondo still in those minutes. They need to play him more. They have gone like small ball, put in Batum and stuff, and in that, but Kawhi's going to have a big game. You never know which PG you're going to get. I will say I'll go to play devil's advocate with the Clippers, and game 7 will be some big game. That can be a toss up because, one, Clippers have a lot on the line. It won't just be looks at, what Kawhi's doing. So it won't be as many looks at Kawhi because he did it with Toronto. He even did it in San Antonio. So you know what he's going to get. It'll be looks at PG-13. Why are you giving him all this money and he's not delivering? It looks at Tyronn Lue because they wanted to end up getting rid of the other coach, Doc, and you put in Ty Lue, like you changed up everything. There will be looks at the GMs, everybody down the road. You brought in Rondo to help for this reason. Rondo over here looking at Kawhi after that missed three, like, what are you doing? So they got it. Something's got to give with those. Now, my last thing with this, it can be the East or the West. One for the next round. What is your exciting matchup? And what is your exciting in-game matchup? So player to player. Any
I'm gonna go with the East. I'm gonna go with the Bucks and the Nets, and the battle between Durant and Giannis. And whether they match up the entire game, it's just gonna be. I'm really hoping that it's like one of those matchups where, like, Durant averages. Hopefully it's a 7-game series, and Durant puts up like 38 a game, and Giannis is averaging like 35 and 15 type of thing. And it just, those guys have historic great games every single night. Really hope it's not a flop. That would really suck. That would really suck if it. Yeah, it has to. So I'm gonna go with that one. I think that's gonna be probably one of the more anticipated matchups. I feel like it's not like talked about enough. Giannis versus KD. Just because there's so many other players, the big name guys in that series. But I think that's going to be a really, really good one to watch. What do you got?
So I'm going to be a kid with this one. And I'm hoping that all the stars can align and I can just go in a candy shop and pick the one I want. But I would want Portland to win and Phoenix to win. So it can be Portland and Phoenix. And the matchup I would want is Damian Lillard and Devin Booker. Because if both of them just go, you don't know who's going to go off. And it will happen? I don't know. But to see Booker and Lillard, McCollum will get his, but he's not on that same level like the Booker and Lillard just pulling threes no matter where. That'd probably be my dream matchup if that happened. But another matchup I would want to see, because you already did the Brooklyn one, in game for that one, I keep saying it, Tucker and Harden, because I really want to see, because Tucker and Harden, you'll see it in bits and pieces, but they have that tough side that they'll try and bring out. So Tucker will try and push on Harden. Harden will get a little annoyed because Tucker's probably one of the few that can probably stop James Harden Euro step that he does. Only reason because he's seen it so many times. So of course he'll give him a nudge, but a game
or he'll just punch him in the face.
He'll punch him in the face, right? I know.
Yeah, I mean you got to throw a goon in there to kind of get a little scrappy.
And that's why they did it. The other matchup I would want to see, if it can happen, if Dallas can win, and it'll be Dallas and Utah, but to see two rising stars. They're basically stars right now, but two players that a lot of people look at, and Donovan Mitchell, because we always talk about Utah, and not a lot of people give enough credit to Utah, because it's one of those places, like, not everyone's going to look. It's not one of your big market places, but to see Donovan Mitchell and Luka will give you the triple-double probably at least once during that series, but Mitchell will give you the points, and he'll give you the heart.
Yep.
So that's my two. Those are the ones I'm going to be a lot invested in if it happens, segueing us to the end. And this is something that we definitely want to try and do every time. So if it's just me and Steven on the podcast, or if we end up having guests, we want to do a best and worst investment. It can be literally anything. So Steven, we'll start with you. What would you say is your best investment you've ever made in life? And what is your worst investment? And this is something I ask everyone too.
Best investment is probably our houses. We bought 3 different houses in 4 years, and we've gotten a greater return on all of them, mainly because we did work in them and upgraded them, and we knew I didn't know what I was doing. My mother-in-law knew what she was doing, so she kind of guided us in the right direction with that. So I would say definitely my house, our house especially the one we live in now, plan on being here for a long time. So I would say that's probably something that I look at as like, yeah, this is dope. Worst investment. Probably all the shoes I used to buy.
Yep. That was a thing.
Like, I mean, it's like, it's cool to be a sneakerhead, Because like you can get certain shoes that like nobody else has, or not a lot of people can afford. Like I have a pair of Space Jams that I'm hanging on to for forever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it never like what was I gonna do with them all?
Yeah.
Like I spent all that money on all those shoes, and I never like they're like half of them are gone because I just like don't need them. So like there was just like I'm not wasting money because like it was cool like during college to have those shoes and to like stunt at parties and everything like that. But
Yep.
like
That was the thing back then.
yeah, but now it's like I have probably 4 or 5 pairs of shoes that I actually wear, and like that's it. Like those are good investments.
Yeah.
Like the running shoes I just bought, like those are good investments.
Those are good investments. Yeah. I realize I wear those type of shoes way more than Jordans or my foams. If I bring those out, it has to be some great event that I'm not going to get them dirty. There's no rain that day. It has to be perfect conditions.
Yep.
One thing, and I think about this all the time. I was probably driving home today and I went between either a laptop or investments that I made. And I think the best investment, just segueing it back into and bringing it back all around with cryptocurrency, there's a company called Band Protocol. So a lot of people have heard of a company called Chainlink, which is a decentralized oracle. But the second one, basically people call it Coke and Pepsi. So the Coke was Chainlink, the Pepsi was Band Protocol. And at the time, Band was probably worth 50 cents or so last year. This was before the Bitcoin happening, which is something we'll get into as well. But it was in May. So it's during COVID. And I invested in it probably around a little after COVID hit. So it was in April or so. And they just got listed later in the year. I held on to it for a while and they got listed on Coinbase. So a lot of times they bring up the Coinbase pump. So it went from 50 cents to over, I would say $16 at one point. It was in that range of $13 to $16. It jumped that much. And I also was staking it. So staking is basically similar to accruing interest. You end up putting it on one of the exchanges and you're providing kind of like liquidity at times. So you're staking it. So I was getting 10% APY. So per year, if you break that down, it's a decent amount per month. And I was staking it, but then it jumped that much. So I was able to end up withdrawing all the money I made off of Band and then putting it into so many other cryptocurrencies, which in turn allowed me to end up investing a good amount into the company. So I think that's probably one of the biggest ones. I think my worst investment, and I tell anybody this, so I used to try and do penny stocks. It was me and one of my coworkers. We tried to do penny stocks and we would literally see them because that's what you think. All right, let's put money here. But then what made it worse is there were a bunch of people that would say like they're good at it. So there's a social media for stock market people called StockTwits. And you see a bunch of different people that say that they're good at this and they prove their resume and stuff. So I ended up paying for one of their services to just like hear his analysis and stuff. So I said, all right, you know what? Let me put like $2,000 into these different stocks that he was talking about. And and so I invested in it. And I remember one time I was like, yo, this is about to like go up. Like it's working in the charts because I would read charts, but with penny stocks, it's so much tougher to read penny stock charts. Joint just didn't happen. It probably hit 90 cents. And I told myself, oh, it's about to hit $1. Kept waiting for that stock to end up hitting $1. It never happened. So of course it went down and I probably lost half of it. Then another one got delisted. So it got delisted off of stock exchanges, which meant your money was basically worth nothing. And at that point, I just understood that, yeah, the penny stocks are never for me. So now I end up trying to go with stocks that are in the S&P 500, or I'm big into electric vehicle EV stocks, or even certain like leisure ones. I do dip and dabble, I will admit, with AMC or BlackBerry or Bed Bath Body Works, those different ones. I do look at those, but I do it from like a trade point of view. And yeah, that was probably my worst one. Will I ever do penny stocks again? Nope. And that's why when people say, yo, like put $200 in, it'll go to the moon. I'm like, well, I saw that happen. It didn't go to the moon. It went down to probably like the Earth's core, and I do not have that money anymore.
No, sir.
But that's probably for me. We're about to wrap it up. One thing I do want to say is everyone that is listening, make sure to hit the like button, turn on your post notifications. So this is definitely something we're going to try and do weekly as well. Follow us on social media. Steven, what's your handle?
I think it's at Steven_Springs.
Yeah, that's what it is. Then
That
you can
sounds about
also,
right.
it is right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then mine's right there if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter at AO Shifty. And then we also have the We Got Next Twitter handle. Follow us on that as well. For social media, Facebook and Instagram, Shift Movement LLC. That's not only going to be for cryptocurrencies, but we're going to promote and talk about the YouTube channel as well. Something to look forward to. I can confirm with you, we will have probably 2 to 3 interviews we have lined up. There's 6 in total. We just have to confirm everything with them. Some of the ones will be Safe Haven, which is a digital inheritance. We have Utu or YouTube that will also be on here. It's a trust protocol. We have those locked in. So we are extremely excited to end up putting those on the channel too. And Steven, you got anything for the people?
God, I hope the Lakers win tonight. I know if they lose, I'm gonna get bombarded with text messages from so many people about talking shit about LeBron. I'm gonna no matter if they're winning or losing, I'm gonna go to sleep early. Not gonna look at my phone for a long time tomorrow. Yeah, that's all I got. I need the Lakers to win.
All right. So what I'm gonna start calling everybody that's watching, y'all are gonna be the 6th man since we got next on the court. I'll say bye to my 6 men and women that are out there. And until next week, I'll catch you.